From MZ Studios in Dallas, Texas, you're listening to the Tennis Revolution podcast.
Haiti might have something to say about that.
What's that?
Yeah, baby. I'm bringing heat out of the gate.
I'm just having a finally sleep. The tournament's over.
Let me tell you something. I pulled a U, not the recording bit.
Okay.
But watching the Australian Open finals, women overnight live. Do it live.
Really? And that match was so long.
Well, yeah, so I know I can't watch it recorded. I just can't. I'll just delete it and look at the score. So instead of taking the risk of recording it and then finding out the score or not having the discipline to not watch it,
right?
I said to myself,
do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
So I did it live. So I just stayed up and watched it. Let me just tell you, the next day was miserable.
See, and I teach Saturday and Sunday mornings, so the Australian's no longer my favorite. I've decided. I'm over it.
Yeah, if you're a bum and you sleep in all week, then it's like, hey, I'll stay up all night.
Or if it was cold here, like it is the rest of the country, where I didn't have to work, it would have been great. I could have stayed and watched them all in the mornings, and would have loved it. But yeah, it was a rough week missing, because every match, the last 4 match sessions were ruined for me. Before I watched it. So I
decided to do it live. I wrote it. We did it live, and it was well worth the effort. Oh, by the way, welcome to the Tennis Revolution, the only podcast you need.
That's right.
I'm real friendly to other podcasts.
You are.
I tweet at them. I download their stuff. I retweet all their nonsense, and I like some of them. But that's all there is to it. Yeah. We're the bomb.
I thought you were going to say none of them reciprocate, but.
Well, listen.
Luckily, you didn't stay up for the men's final.
Well, I beg to differ.
Or you could have stayed up. And
I was in and out. I was in and out for that final, and I would kind of wake up. I just left the TV on, and I woke up, and I saw the score, and I just muttered obscenities and went back to bed because I was mad that I was even barely awake, and it was keeping me up, and I kind of knew. In my pre-REM sleep, and I just knew it was on, so I'd wake up and then not worth it.
Well, you remember I prophesied last week. I said, we talked about how amazing this tournament was, and we had saw these great storylines, but what if it ends with Djokovic Nadal in the final? And we said, no, it won't be that bad. We'll still say it's a good tournament. And now it's like, It definitely took a little bit of the luster out. Between the Djokovic-Pouille semifinal and the final, it was an awful finish.
Well, what do you want to do? You want to talk about the men first or the women first?
Well, let's be positive. Talk about the women.
Yes, let's. I agree. So, again, I don't hate women. You do, but you
I definitely don't after this tournament.
And the bottom line is it was a superior product.
Way superior.
So we had Osaka trying to follow up on her success from the U.S. Open. Trophy presentation, the tournament and she did both winning, and it was both parties sprinted through the finish line. It was a photo finish, and all went well.
Yes.
So first of all, first time the players won back-to-back Grand Slams in their inaugural Grand Slam since Jennifer Capriati.
Okay.
Did you know that?
Yes, but that's not correct. Here's what I mean by that. You mean, I just thought this stat was really stupid, and they kept talking about it. So it's the first time someone has won their first slam and then won their second slam right after.
Yeah.
To me, when I hear that, it means someone won their first slam they ever played and then won their second one. I see. They won their first 2 slams. Well, no, she didn't. She's played for the last 2 years.
Right.
But that's the only reason I didn't like that stat. What I wanted to know is when was the last time a player's won 2 slams in a row, period? That wasn't Serena.
Yeah.
That has to be 10 years.
That's a great point.
And they never talked about that. Because to me, winning your first one and winning the next one doesn't matter that much. Like, that's not that significant. Yeah, winning 2 in a row is significant.
Yeah, because you put together a little run for long enough, not just one tournament.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Good question. But anyway, let's not take away anything. Serena already took enough from her at the U.S. Open. Right. Let's not take anything away from her in Australia and down under.
And was there a conspiracy theory about that's why Serena lost in the quarters? Didn't want to play Osaka in the semis? No, I didn't hear that. I've waited for that, but I haven't heard it.
No. So if that was the case, no, I don't think there's no chance that would ever happen.
Well, she wouldn't bother going up 5-1 in the third and then losing.
And listen, I think she legitimately hurt her ankle. The only thing I don't like, so Serena played the quarterfinals. She was up. She lost the first set, right?
Yeah, she lost first.
And then won the second.
Yeah, because she was just rolling at that time. Won the second and then was rolling in the third.
Yeah. And, that's not the right.
But I am not one to compliment Serena. And
no.
That was the best Serena press conference I've ever seen in terms of how gracious she was. And I was really impressed by that.
Well,
I don't mean that. That doesn't mean I believe it.
Okay, all right.
But
so, see, actually, it's the opposite.
She did what she was supposed to do in the press conference, is what I mean.
All right, so I don't know. So she played Pliskova in the quarterfinals. She won the first set. No, lost the first set 6-4. Then came back, won the second set 6-4, and then was on a roll from there. She was up 5-1. She is on the run and tries to, and so Pliskova hits behind her.
Right.
So thinks she's going to. So she's kind of stopping, restart, whatever. She hurt her ankle.
Right.
And then she didn't win a game after that.
Yeah, and don't you always get flashbacks when that happens at the Australian? It used to be like every year there'd be 2 or 3
because they had that rebound ace nonsense. Yeah, and they used to grab, you see little hands
and
reaching up.
It was always like as hot. It was always the hottest day, and somebody would do it and be laying on the court with an ankle injury.
So anywho, so then she reels off, 6 straight games that she lost. And fair enough.
Right.
So the first thing is, why didn't she call the trainer? So let's talk about before the press conference. I'm watching the match, and I'm wondering why she's not calling the trainer. So now up 5-1, I'm like, well, okay, let's get out of this game and try to just take care of it here and not throw momentum off and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Now on the changeover, why don't you call the trainer? You don't want to show weakness maybe or whatever. You want to kind of not let her know it hurts that bad. Okay, the next changeover, it's 5-4. Do something. Get retaped. Get, whatever. Get a little whatever on it, whatever.
Well, that's why I was glad she didn't mention that in the press conference because...
She did.
Well, someone asked her about it, but I mean, she didn't use that as a reason she lost, which to me is totally fraudulent. If you didn't call for the trainer, it obviously wasn't that bad. And then she said, well, I didn't want to do that. I don't like doing that.
Well, see, to me, that was a shot at other players.
No, totally.
Not her being a hero.
Right. Well, yeah, she didn't. But see, what the funny thing is about that, nobody in the world would have criticized her for calling a trainer on that.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Right. That's exactly what the trainers are supposed to be used for. McEnroe says it all the time. When you injure yourself during a match, that's the only time you should be allowed to call a trainer.
She didn't go tinkle.
Right.
She wasn't trying to, oh, my back hurts. Let me get stretched out for 20 minutes. Because that's normally what it looks like.
Right. I mean, I will say if she didn't call a trainer at 5-1, 5-2, 5-3, and then called one at 5-4, I could see that being, worth complaining about.
Maybe. But
especially if Pliskova is about to serve at 5-4.
Well, that's true. I take it as she was so close to the finish line. Why stop? Why give the opponent any sort of hope that, I might be banged up and she's got a chance now. Let's just try to stay out here. But honestly, after that first changeover, she knew how bad it was.
Yeah.
She should have just – and we didn't, but we found out because she lost 6 straight games. Right. That's absurd.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely had a lot to do with it, the injury. I don't know that – I honestly think it was certain – I wouldn't say equal parts, but it had a lot to do with that foot fault call also. The foot fault call, the injury, And then, after you lose a couple games in a row, then it just becomes mental.
Yeah, I mean, I see it could. I think everything stemmed from the foot.
Yeah.
Ankle, whatever happened to her.
I don't agree that Pliskova played lights out because you can only play lights out if your opponent lets you play lights out. And like with Serena's serve, if Serena's serving like she serves, you can't play lights out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, see, and to me, that's one of those ones where you have to be in her head to figure out what she meant because it could have gone either way.
Right.
It could be,
she had to play lights out to beat me.
I'm being magnanimous and saying how she just really stepped up when she had to, as opposed to, hey, I was injured and she played better than I've ever seen her play. Yeah. How ridiculous is that? That's garbage. If she would have dropped 1 inch of a level, I would have beat her. So which way is it going? I would lean towards the latter.
Well, I'm giving her credit because normally what she would say is, I wish I'd have played better at the end and I would have won, but instead, I blew it. And she actually did give her opponent credit for saying she raised her game. Now, she could have said she raised her game and I lowered mine.
Fair enough.
And which, again, we all know that's true. It was a combination because I don't care how you could play the best match of your life. You can't beat Serena 6 games in a row without her lowering her game.
Yeah, of course.
If she's that good. So I wouldn't have had a problem with her saying that, but I thought she was overly complimentary of Pliskova.
Agreed. I for sure think it was probably 70% ankle, maybe 60% ankle.
But how amazing is it Pliskova and Kvitova don't move at all, and they're both in the semis of a Grand Slam. I mean, I watched that Kvitova Osaka. She took one step most shots she hit in the match. She just does not move ever, and her strokes are that good.
Yeah,
it's just amazing. They can't get them on the run. Like you would think Serena would be able to run Pliskova, would have been able to run Pliskova around.
So the other highlight of the women's draw, Danielle Collins. Oh, Lordy. Oh, Lordy.
I want to like her so badly, and I dislike her very much so far.
Listen, first of all,
you play ball like a girl.
I don't care that she's got some edge.
You cannot be serious.
Maybe she's John McEnroe's illegitimate child. Right. I don't care. I don't care if she's a little saucy. I don't care. She plays a big game, high risk, high reward, so she's got to have some edge or she wouldn't be able to handle it.
Right.
You can't handle making that many errors, if you don't have a little edge to you. It's that simple.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few little things in tennis that always bother me, and she does several of them.
All right. List them in alphabetical order. Ada.
Well, the whole, screaming when I win the point, like at the opponent, that drives me crazy. Okay. And she does it a lot.
She does.
And I never got the feeling that she had any respect for her opponents ever. Even when she lost, I felt like it was like, oh, well, she won. Well,
here's the good news, though, in that regard, is I hear what you're saying.
And I understand that as a player, which you want to have that intimidation factor, that mentality, that confidence level, all that.
Maybe. But see, here's the other thing. It's actually the opposite. I think you have to build that wall if you don't have it.
Right.
I mean, Federer has the most ridiculous, sickening amount of respect for every single human being he played. If he played me in a match in first round at U.S. Open, he would really say, hey, he really gets a lot of weight behind the ball. He, his hair looks great. I think those were new shoes.
He gave me a really tough match. That 1 point I lost.
Yeah. So for me, that comes from a place of I wear golden shoes, literally. Yeah. And so where is she at in the game? Her place in the game is not at that level, certainly. So she's got that edge to her now, and it's like, every single person that steps on the court is trying to take something from her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
mean, Nadal seems to have that same mentality that Collins does, where but the difference is he can turn it off.
Right.
He's still I don't know. But so
I don't think Nadal, I literally feel like she's the type of person that if she was this is going to be a terrible analogy, but if she was like a boxer, a UFC fighter, she would knock you down and then stomp on you on the way to the corner. Like when you're already on the ground. I just feel like that's totally her MO.
So, yeah, but...
I never heard her compliment anybody she played after the match or anything, win or lose.
Yeah. Well, the respect thing, I mean, the good news is it's an individual sport, and who cares if she respects them because they're going to beat her ass.
Right.
And
well, I'd like to hear what her college teammates think about it. And again, team sport's different maybe, but
yeah,
I just can't imagine that many opponents of hers have good things to say about her.
Yeah, but your teammates love you.
Right, because you're representing them. Well, and plus she never lost.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just... as much as I've said, I like to have more. And again, I don't mind having her on the tour because I need people not to like. But but I just I was happy to kind of see her lose to her own game. You know, that kind of power game.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, the problem with a player like that is they've got to develop one other gear. They can't just close their eyes and wail away.
Which is funny because we talked about before that match how she was going to strategize going into. You know, she was going to have a different strategy for rematch. And we watched, and it's like, oh, she plays the same all the time, and it just it works. It worked against everybody except Kvitova.
Yeah, so again, I don't mind. That's not to say I'm going to be buying, T-shirts and stuff with her name on the back or whatever they sell in tennis, but her jersey, so to speak. But she's an American
and played college tennis.
And to me, we need that sort of that pathway would be great. That would help American, tennis tremendously.
When she's attractive, and that's what disappointed me is like she has the potential for all to
be a star,
right? And then I'm like, and then you listen to her talk, and it's like, oh well.
Well, here's what she's going to have to do. She's going to have to not try to be, a poster girl,
right?
And she's going to have to just embrace.
I don't think she has to worry about that.
The negative.
Oh yeah, just be the intimidating.
Yeah, no. She can't worry about. I'm not gonna.
Right, because it's not going to be legitimate anyway if she tries.
Right.
Yeah.
If she just embraces the bad guy.
Yeah, I would be fine with that.
And bad guy is relative.
Right.
I mean, what is she doing? She's playing tennis.
I know exactly.
It's not.
And screaming when she hits the ball. It's like a big deal.
You know why?
Hello, you play to win the game.
That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it.
No, but you're right though. She could totally parlay that into, other things and, make it part of her, MO.
She'd come out wearing all black at the U.S. Open.
Right.
And,
Under Armour, she'll have to, she's certainly going to get a sponsorship after that if she doesn't have one already.
Yeah. And every time, she finishes a match and she walks up to the net to shake hands.
You gonna do something or just stand there and bleed?
Yeah, baby. Not Escape from L.A., as my esteemed colleague thought it might be.
I was naming the best Kurt Russell movie I could think of, Escape from L.A.
Let me tell you something. What a great run he had early. Escape from New York, which I don't care who you are. If you don't think that's a great movie, you're wrong.
Overboard.
The new one? The remake?
Yeah. Well, he didn't age until about 5 years ago. He looked the same for the last 30 years. And now he's got white hair.
Snake Plissken.
Mm-hmm.
Call me Snake.
That's right.
In Escape from New York. He was also in The Thing.
Great movie.
Oh, my God. That's such a simple, no CGI, whatever, not CGI. It hadn't been invented back then, but
special
effects, but not many.
Right.
It's a horror movie.
Yeah, which I don't picture you liking many
but it's
horror
so
movies.
Psychological. It's horrific.
Yeah.
It's great. Absolutely great.
Tango
what else?
and Cash. I know all the classics.
We need a drop from Tango and Cash. That's got to be one of the worst. I just take a pizza crust and some sauce because I got all the cheese I need.
Well, I never saw that Miracle with where he played the hockey coach, but that was newer, obviously.
Still, another great movie.
But that was supposedly a really good movie.
And you picked the worst, Escape from L.A.
Right.
Oh, that was a piece of garbage. That was a piece of garbage.
That was the sequel culture. He had a good movie called Breakdown where his wife gets kidnapped. It was actually a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I saw that. Yep.
No, he's got them all.
Yeah, so anywho.
Executive Decision with Steven Seagal.
Oh, it's a classic. He was the president, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
With Steven Seagal, it makes it up a level immediately.
Well, I don't know why. Steven Seagal has literally never been hit in his life. Not once. Except he was almost shot to death and hard to kill.
Right, exactly.
But he wasn't in a fight. He didn't know that was
Or what
coming.
was the one of them he does killed and then came back? That was the whole premise of the movie. He had 2 lives for some reason.
2?
I
That
can't-
was hard to kill. I
Was
thought.
it? And he was killed once and came
But
back?
he wasn't killed. It was like,
that's what it was.
on his deathbed.
Okay.
They left him for dead.
I see.
Movie talk.
That's right.
Here on.
Nothing,
All right.
Nothing notable happened this weekend.
Yeah, so how do we get to Kurt Russell from Danielle
Because of
Collins?
your drop.
Oh, that's right. So, but see, I like that in the sense that, somebody's going to have to take the mantle, as it were, for Serena. And you've got, Keys is kind of a little bit faded lately.
Sloane is always going to be up and down. I don't care what.
She'll go up, but then she'll go way down.
Yeah.
Venus will be gone soon. She'll retire as well.
Right.
Who else we got?
Coco's MIA.
Yeah, who knows? She might have just been a...
Anna Samova will be good probably in future years. I don't know if she's there yet. But yeah, I mean, it's. I don't know that I see that future Grand Slam champion. I mean, I'd love to see Collins play Serena or Sharapova or somebody like that and get that hostility there. I think that would be interesting.
Well, it seems like Anna Samova is going to be everybody's darling,
right?
And
which is what scares me.
Danielle Collins will not be, and so if they, because Anna, I'm going to call her Amanda. Anna Samova, Amanda AA,
right.
3.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. So Amanda, Anna Samova, she's 5'11", so she's a big girl.
Yeah.
So she's going to be able to, hopefully, develop a mix of power and, and smarts and defense and whatever. But, and then Collins is tall.
I got a text last week and somebody said, gosh, I'd forgotten who Melody Udan was because that was a comparison I gave to Anna Samova. I said, I hope she's not the next Udan, where she doesn't just have one run and then she's gone.
She won't be. So Danielle Collins is 5'10". So they're both, up there size-wise. And so that's the big difference. I mean, Melanie Udan had one kind of short period of time where she had a little run.
Right.
And she's 5'6". I mean, she
had to work really hard.
She got everything out of her game. I mean, I'm sorry to tell you, if you're under, 5'10", maybe is that? Serena's 5'9".
What is Osaka? Somebody was asking me, and I didn't know. I was guessing 5'8", 5'9".
Let's find out.
Halep is not tall.
Well, here's what I was going to say. There's 5'11". Osaka's 5'11".
Yeah, so there you go.
5'11". So Udan is 5'6". And who'd you just ask about?
Halep.
Simona Halep. Now here's the difference between like a Halep and where she's 5'6".
Yeah.
So you have
but she's also the exception. I mean,
exactly. So
she's like the Ferrer of the women's.
Yeah. Except she's won a Grand Slam. That's terrible.
Well, that's because she didn't play in the greatest era in history.
No, Wozniacki's 5'10".
Yeah, so
but the type of game she plays, she plays a retrieving style, which would be better suited if she was shorter, but maybe not. But yeah, so I think Halep is a really huge, pun intended, exception to the rule.
Yeah, we definitely saw the same. I mean, look at Kvitova, Pliskova, all those, Osaka, they're all taller, so maybe that's the way the women's is going.
I would think so to some degree. But it's like the men. I think the ceiling is going to be around 6 foot, 6'1", because you're not going to be able to move great.
Yeah.
Or have the stamina. And typically they're still, even if they're that size, their shoulder size isn't going to be as big. They're not going to be able to hit as hard and push through somebody who can, like a Halep type, who can cover the court and absorb power.
Well, what's funny is I feel like the 6'2", 6'1" women are more equivalent to the 6'9", 6'10" guys because, like, the 6'9" to 6'10" guys can't move at all.
I think that's exactly what I just said.
Well, I mean, But you would think it wouldn't be that, because 6'10" is like 8 inches above average.
Right.
And for the women, almost all the women on the tour are like 5'9", like we just said.
Well,
but
bone
then if you're 3
density
inches,
and other things, their structure's still going to be similar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm talking nonsense because I can't stand the sight of a Band-Aid. So how can I talk about medical stuff? I can't.
What we need is the 6'5" female version of Isner on the women's tour. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Oh, my goodness.
Just a great surfer.
Dropping bombs and lumbering around, ducking in doorways.
I'm going to look that up later. The tallest woman ranked in the top 1,000. I want to find out who that is.
Good question. They don't rank 1,000 anymore. Apparently, they're trying to ruin tennis at the pro level.
Yes.
So,
many ways.
Anywho, so I think we got exactly what we expected. Maybe not who we expected, but we got what we expected in the Australian Open women's tournament. And
it was great.
And listen, not to take away from your 4-seeded draw, which you threw away, right? Because it didn't matter now. It's
right, because they're going to be the top seeds are going to advance regardless in the theoretical draw.
Yeah. So,
but no, it certainly worked out this time where there was all great matches throughout.
But you ended up, having like in the quarterfinals, you had Danielle Collins and Pavlyuchenkova,
right?
Both unseeded.
Yeah. And that's, that can happen in any draw format,
right?
But that is the whole benefit of the randomness of any draw, is that the players have an opportunity to make a run.
Yeah.
Do you see it as
nope.
Osaka being the clear number one now, or she's just kind of on a streak?
Here's what I will say. She definitely has a balance of, like neutral ball. You know, she can shape the ball and point build, as well as she can obviously finish. Good serve. She can attack returns.
Yeah. Of the Final Four, she had the most variety of any of them by far.
I think so, yeah.
Were you shocked by that collapse at 5-3? Because she was so mentally strong at Serena.
No, not at all.
I was, because
women's
I hadn't seen her. But see, I had never seen her do that.
Women's tennis and men's tennis besides the big three.
Right.
No, not at all. We had this discussion. I had this discussion when Blair Henley was on, and we've had this discussion in private, in our No Man meetings. You remember that?
Yes. My wife has never seen that show. Married with Children.
Married with Children. No Man.
Bob Rooney. I have. She has
why
never
don't I have
watched
any Married with Children drops?
You're totally missing out. She has never seen an episode of that show.
Oh my goodness!
It's like the longest running, least respected show ever.
It really is. What an absolute!
I'm sure it never won an award for anything.
It should have. It couldn't have, but it should have. So anywho, I think. And the proof is in the pudding, as they say. I put my lack of sleep where my mouth was. I stayed up overnight, and I could have done either or both, but I didn't really plan on it on the men's. I just said, you know what? I'm going to have it on. I'm going to go night-night.
Right.
And then, kind of.
Maybe I'll wake up for an hour.
Well, I was going to say, I'll try to stay up and kind of, watch, whatever mixed, doubles, whatever. I don't even know what was on.
What's sad is I really thought that would be a match where you could wake up and it would still be going.
Exactly.
How wrong was I on that?
They were done with the replay of it by the time I got up. So, so I sort of was not. So anyway, it doesn't matter. So, but just stay on the women, you sexist. So, again, I am looking at this women's draw, tons of good matches throughout, as an American-centric podcast.
Right.
Some highlights from Americans.
Yeah.
Osaka, of course, being the first Asian player to Haiti would have something to say about that, as I open the show with. She's half Haitian. Why don't we include that part? Oh, wait a minute. Didn't she grow up in Florida?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
A third American.
It's so ridiculous. It doesn't matter. Nishikori sent a text or a tweet, at Osaka or whatever her thing is. And it was like, fist bump and, the bicep curl and all this other stuff. And then Japanese flag, a bunch of Japanese flags. I replied with 4 Haitian flags. Nobody replied to that evenly. And then I
the fact that you could find the Haitian flag was impressive.
Dude, let me tell you, it took a while. I had a magnifying glass. I was on Google looking up the flag. I mean, I'm not a hero here.
Magnifying emojis to figure out which one.
So, and apparently you can do on the phone, you can magnify them. I'm actually like I'm a sleuth in the 50s with an actual magnifying glass. But and then also the Australian Open sent something out, a tweet about her being the first Asian American or something, or not Asian to blah blah blah. And I said Haiti might have something to say about that. Doing my impression of Andy Murray, of course. I almost put -A Murray, but I didn't want to be a complete a-hole. So anyway, I got a couple of retweets back from that one, which is funny. Not the Australian Open, of course. Replies or likes or whatever. I don't know what they're called. Something. People appreciated my point of view.
Yeah.
I didn't see Andy Murray's comment though. He doesn't care about countries and borders and all that. Yeah. He doesn't care about Japanese pride. He only cares about
retirement.
Men and women.
Well, and I don't see her as the favorite for the French. I do see her as the deserving number one. I mean, but I still think that she'll have a harder time translating her game to the French. So I don't think it's going to be one of those situations where she just rolls through and wins 2 slams a year for next 5 years, and she's the clear number one and she's dominating. Because she struggled in a lot of matches. There's 3 or 4 matches she could have lost easily.
Yep. Well, listen, Serena hasn't rolled through every Grand Slam tournament she's won. Right. She's always coming back.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually a compelling part of what makes her a champion. And now Osaka, I think that adds to it.
Is Serena winning?
So 24? Let me ask you this. So if she competes in the French, because I don't think the French is the same for the women as it is for the men. So somebody like Osaka, she can hit through players on the French.
Yeah.
They're not, as long, the reach, the speed, all that.
I'm just thinking I think it's number one. It's hard to win 3 in a row, much less 2 in a row.
True.
And also just the fact that the players are going to have a little more time. I see someone like Halep could give her a lot of trouble with Jackie.
Oh, for sure. For sure. It could be a slight difference.
Even Serena.
A slight enough difference to make a difference. Yeah, Serena loved to play her there because she speaks French and everybody loves Serena at the French. She's got a house in Paris or whatever.
Well, and the one thing we haven't seen in a long time is someone as the 1 seed in the women's, going through and winning like they're supposed to. And so that's a different level of pressure too when you go in as the 1 seed.
That's a bummer for Halep getting Serena, man. What a bummer.
I know. But she has all the pressure now going into the slam that she won't have.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was overall, it had all the storylines we wanted. It had the Australian players in the beginning, the American players.
Yeah, and moving forward, I have zero holes in my heart for what women's tennis could be and all this stuff like I do on the men's side. I am completely content with the women's side of things as is. I think every tournament's going to be highly competitive.
Right.
I think the bar is there in terms of the top players. I think the bar comparatively has been Serena for so long and still to some degree is. You can still kind of see it. It's not obviously the same, but it's close enough where the evidence is there that it's close to the same. And now these other players are competing in relation to that bar, and they're meeting it. So that means the transition, the handoff of women's tennis from the Williams sisters, and I'll put them both in that category, to the next generation, I think is going to be a smooth one in the sense that, wow, the level transitions nicely to the next. Now, again, she's the greatest ever. Who knows if anybody will even come close to doing what she's done.
Right.
They might.
Yeah.
It's not impossible.
Yeah, we're seeing that with Federer.
Well, it was derailed. No more talking. I want you to get on this podcast and not talk ever again. So, no idea what I was saying. No idea.
Well, what I was going to say, you could see the depth, the fact that there was 11 people that could be number one at the end of this tournament.
Right.
Which normally I see that as a kind of a insult to the tour. Now I thought it was actually a compliment that there are that many people playing
well. They're close. They're all close.
Normally it's number ones losing their spot left and right and
we've got
fading.
And we've got, like I said, we've got the bar. We have one constant, and that's Serena.
Yeah.
And that constant, again, it's a little bit diminished, but you've got a nice close to constant in Serena, and they're all comparing well to it. So we don't have to look at the next group as, oh, wow, they suck.
Well, can you ever remember a final two where the winner became number one in the world? That was really cool. I don't think they talked about that enough.
Right. Yeah.
It was like, oh, by the way, congrats on being number one. In the post match, it's like, she just became number one in the world.
Right.
And that's what they were playing for, as much as the ranking of the prize money and the prestige. I thought that was underplayed.
So I cannot be complimentary enough of the women's game in the current state it's in. I would like to see Serena be 100% back, physically, mentally, emotionally, all of it.
And she definitely wasn't.
And she may not ever be again. Let's be fair. Childbirth and all the complications she had, I think we're still dismissing the ultimate effect that may have on a person, on a human person. So, whatever. So take that for what it's worth. But I think I can't, more than maybe ever, maybe in the last 7 years, 5 years, there's such a clear separation.
Yeah.
But the older the big three get on the men, the wider that separation between men and women's tennis becomes.
Yeah.
So the question always is when Serena retires or before she retires, if she stays in longer than the big three men, can women's tennis carry tennis here in America in terms of popularity and everything else if the big three are gone?
Right.
Or two of the big three. If you only got Nole and that's it, I don't know how much of a draw that is. And so we're gonna have to get behind women's tennis in this country if we want to continue to, hopefully not continue because we've been exactly at the same level for 15 years. But so at least I am optimistic after this Australian Open on the women's side.
Right. Yeah, I think there was...
You're speechless because you've had enough talking about women.
I think there was so many things to build on. And I think Serena, she's going to have to get her serve back to that level she was for her to ever be probably a Grand Slam champion again. Because she's not going to be able to physically rally 7 matches in a row, 2 and 3 sets. It doesn't look like anyway. Doesn't look like she's going to be able to grind out 7 wins without getting those free points on the serve.
The good news is she's always a threat, and that's that comparative nature we need looking at. Anyway, so, all right, enough of the women. We can only talk about them so much. No, that's not true. We could go on, but we don't want to be sexist.
Right.
We also have to talk about the men, unfortunately. And we will do that.
It's time to join the revolution. Go to our website, tennisrevolutionpodcast.com, to get the latest episodes, email us your questions and comments, or give us show ideas.
When we come back. All right, so I don't know what day it was. Oh, by the way, we're back. Tennis Revolution in the house. I don't know what day it was because it's the Australian Open, and it's like a time machine. I have no idea what day the matches are on, when it's a day here, what year it is. I'm so discombobulated. But it was prior to the men's final. Do you remember the text I sent you? You're the worst. You're the worst.
I was going to say, what was I wearing?
Nothing was your reply. And that was, never mind. So, look at your phone, dum-dum.
Oh, that Djokovic would win in 4?
I said Djokovic in 4.
Yeah.
What was the next text?
I think I said 5.
What was my next text?
3.
No, that's a lie.
Oh, yeah.
But you don't know. I held up 3 and you bit it. I said 4. I almost said 3, but I actually hedged my bets like a chump and said 4. I was going to say Djokovic in 3 because, again, this is the weakest era in the history of men's tennis. So, Djokovic is the next one, and and he's going to be unstoppable. So this result on the men's side, again, I mentioned, I didn't stay up overnight for this. I just kind of dozed through it and was sleeping for about 80% of it.
Just like Nadal.
Yeah, exactly. I popped an eye open. That first set, Djokovic lost 1 point on his serve, and it was in his last serve game.
Well, he's a dominant server, right?
Dropping like Isner.
Well, and I was going to ask you before we even get to that final, going into the semis, if you could rate the tournament from a scale of 1 to 10, what would you have given it? Not counting either the semis or the final, just after the quarters.
Right.
What would you have rated?
And I
it from
don't
1 to 10?
like that question because it's a bold-faced lie. All right, so when we're sitting here with in the semifinals with Novak and Pouillet, they haven't started yet.
Yeah.
And Tsitsipas and Nadal, they haven't started yet.
Right.
And you're thinking, whoa.
Well, and I don't mean
the next gen's here, man.
Yeah, I don't mean what were your thoughts of those matchups?
No,
I mean what's happened prior.
If you're sitting there with those players,
right,
in the semis,
yeah,
and then you look back at what went down,
and who they beat and all that
for the rest of it, you're thinking, man, this could be it.
And changing the guard.
These youngsters, and who was the number one youngster I was always saying, the next gen,
right.
Tsitsipas.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 100%. I know where you're leading me, and you're correct. We had a really good tournament, tournament. I mean, Nadal, he was rolling.
Yeah,
was
Djokovic.
There was
really
a lot of disappointments on the Nadal side because you had Berdych, which come on, he's coming back. It's hard to say,
right?
But you had a youngster in Demonauer. He beat the crap out of him in third. Beat the crap out of him in the third round.
Yeah.
Ebden. I don't really know where he's at. I don't know enough about that. Duckworth's been around a while, so he's an old man.
Those were two should be easy matches.
But yeah, so you get to the third round and you play Demonauer, and it's like this is the new guy,
right?
This is one of the new guys, and apparently he's good looking or something. I don't know. And then he rolls through Berdych, which you think, oh, okay, well, Berdych is coming back. Well, he was in the fourth round.
Right.
And he beat Schwartzman.
Yeah.
But to be fair, by the fourth round, maybe your fatigue starts setting in because you haven't played a lot. So I could give that match a pass.
Right.
To some degree. And then he gets to Tiafoe, and Tiafoe
was gassed.
Had a good run, and then he had nothing.
Right.
Absolutely nothing. He looked gassed.
Yeah.
And then Tsitsipas, obviously his big match was Federer. So he comes through. And I think for the most part, he was a favorite to go decently far, even though he's C14. He's still, whatever. So he beat an Italian, Berrettini. And it's like Ferrari Berrettini, the model of a Ferrari. So he beats him, takes him 4. So that's not ideal. It takes 4 to beat Troicki, who's an old school, whatever. And then he beats 5 to beat Basilashvili. And then, no, that's not true. 4. It was 4 to beat in the third round. He beat Basilashvili.
Yeah,
not bad.
And Federer in a long 4.
And then beat Federer in a long 4, and he wanted his trophy right then. And I wanted to give it to him.
But he did. I was really impressed for him winning another match after that. That was, to me, the most impressive.
Well, he came out a little slow in that first set.
Right.
And it was able to kind of get it together. But yeah, no, agreed, because you're thinking, wow, I just beat a big 4 and because I'm sure he has no sense of history and who's what. And so he just like
the greatest player ever.
Every other dum out there, he's got 20. He's the greatest player ever. So what a follow up, and then he left his rackets at home and got murdered by Nadal. But hey, listen, semifinal of a Grand Slam, not bad, but and beat one of the big 3. So I'm not as down on that ass kicking by Nadal.
No, I'm not either. But how do you explain, I was talking about this with someone today, how do you explain the fact that these 2 young guys get to the semis and they are just look exhausted and don't show up, and you got 2 guys past their prime. Nadal hadn't played in 4 months, and how does he look completely fresh in the semi, and then Nadal looks like he's got nothing in the final? Like, this doesn't make sense to me. How the results can be that lopsided.
Well, to be full disclosure, every tournament I watch on the men's side, I treat it like I treat college football. I want things to break in such a way that the whole system blows up.
Yeah.
So in college football, every time they have a top 4, I want those top 4 to lose. And then they lose, and then we got a different top 4. Lose. Because I want them to get to 8 for the playoff is my goal. So on this, I have a sense that the big four or big three are so far and above the rest of the players because they suck, not because
right.
You know, and so I am looking for results that feed that.
Yeah.
Tsitsipas did not help me.
No.
Until he got to Nadal, and he said, he had the funniest. He was like, I don't understand how Federer can beat that guy because he plays like I do.
Right.
And I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And then somebody had a tweet, one of the hosts from the Body Surf podcast, I saw a tweet from them, and it said, I bet she's really confused now after Djokovic just beat the crap out of Nadal. So I don't listen. Nadal, I think, he's got to be playing through pain.
Right.
He's got to be playing, maybe not injured, but hurt.
Yeah.
He's got to be. And he rolled through the draw.
Yeah. That's the part that makes no sense.
No, not at all. I mean,
well, makes sense.
Exhibit A.
Right.
Exhibit A. He rolls through the draw because he's, far better than these jokers.
Right.
And then he comes up against a fit big three.
Right.
And that's the difference in this whole thing, is that he's more fit and Nadal's playing hurt, I think.
Right.
And he gets destroyed.
Well, and I think I just think that how can Nadal be that far below Djokovic and be that far above everybody else is a real problem for the tour.
I have an answer. I've had an answer
I know.
since the beginning of this podcast.
Right.
Hashtag the weakest era.
Well, and I think the problem is Federer, I think, is falling back to the pack now because of age finally and, endurance, mobility, whatever. Whereas Nadal and Djokovic are still at that level.
So Nadal, Djokovic, Federer, by far, big three, not even a discussion in my mind.
Yeah.
Which one is the best? So Nadal has been, bar none, the best on clay.
Totally.
Which is what has elevated his numbers unofficially.
Right.
And honestly, Wimbledon has done that for Federer.
Right.
So now we've got Novak, who's really, he doesn't have a big, him and Nadal are not that far apart in age.
No.
But they are in tennis age.
Right.
And I think Nadal's going to start falling away as well physically.
Right.
And there's only going to be Nadal. And you can't tell me if Djokovic could have won this tournament, not by playing 7 rounds. He could have played every person in this tournament and beat them.
Right.
All 127 other people. Played 2 a day. So that's the answer to me. And I know I'm a broken record. I know.
Yeah.
But I think the record's right.
Well, and I think
no one knows what a record is.
If they all three retired today, I'd have to say Federer 1, Nadal 2, Djokovic 3.
You're out of your mind.
But the problem is they're not retiring today. Djokovic is going to win 5 more at least.
To me, Federer is ahead of Nadal.
Well, that's what I said. Federer, Nadal, Djokovic.
Yeah, but I don't think the story is written on Djokovic. And if they retired today, it'd be a little unfair.
Well, that's what I mean.
From his standpoint, because he doesn't have he got to get beat up by them while he was young, and they were,
right.
And then they both sort of had in between all their primes, and then now he's ahead of them prime time.
But I think if he wins the French, then you're talking about he's won every slam twice. So that gives him the most versatility of the 3 players, even if he doesn't have the total.
If he beats Nadal at the French, first of all,
second time.
By the way, the first Twitter poll I ever did was however long ago, probably the beginning of the season or before it, whatever. And it was two questions. Now, I know there's other options. I don't care about your other dumb options.
Yeah, you're saying which one is more likely.
Which one's more likely to happen? Djokovic slam or a next genner?
Right.
Because I don't think it's not a big deal to say, oh, which one of the big 3 is going to win the Grand Slam?
Right.
Who cares? That's stupid. I don't know. Pick any one of them, any slam, and you got a pretty good shot in Vegas. So this question was next genner or below, so next or next gen, wins a slam, or Djokovic wins all 4. And I think by far it's Djokovic wins all 4. And Exhibit A for me, the Australian Open.
Right. Well, he'll be the heavy favorite at Wimbledon and the U.S. Open. I think that Nadal still has to be the favorite of the French, probably by a slight margin.
Only because people are suckers.
Right. But it also depends on what he does in the lead-up, if he even plays.
Agreed,
or does that.
yeah.
But, I mean...
Well, and now Federer's in the mix. Whose half does he end up on? Because regardless of him falling back a little bit, he can still beat people.
Right.
Including Djokovic and Nadal.
I will still... If Federer plays Indian Wells in Miami, I'm still not going to be shocked if he doesn't play clay.
He said he was.
That's what I've heard, but last year I had a bet with someone that he was going to, and he didn't. This year I'm thinking he's not going to, and he says he is. So I just don't know what the point is now of him playing. He's got 2 people to contend with now.
Yeah.
2 years ago he had a decent chance 2 years ago to win it,
and he didn't play.
And now he's got 2 guys that are better than him to contend with.
I hope he does play because I hate the fact that he can skip 2.5 months and still be in the top 3. It makes me ill.
But I don't think he will. I think, and I'm not saying that's why he's playing, but I don't think he can stay in the top 4 now with all these other guys coming up and his slam results going down again.
Yeah.
He has to play more.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And he can't afford these tough matches early in slams either.
So I think you're exactly right. Last week we talked about both tournaments were awesome, and what deflated it completely? The same old final.
Right.
Although the only thing that was different was Novak's dominance, and I think that can be laid right at the feet that he's back 100%,
yeah,
and Nadal's not. And Nadal might be the best he's ever going to be again.
Well, that's what's so funny is people talked about, Nadal being rusty, and you can't say, it's like we said about Federer not being in his prime when he's number 3 in the world, but it's like, how can you say Nadal is not at his top form when he rolled through every player without losing a set? You can't say, oh, yeah, I was rusty. You weren't rusty in the first 6 matches of the tournament.
Well, I can because I subscribe to the fact that this is the weakest era.
Right.
So you can do whatever you want.
He can still win at 50%.
Exactly, for 6 rounds, and then you got to play one of the big 3, and it's trouble.
And the hard part of that argument always is, well, that's because it's not because it's weak. It's because those guys are so amazing, Coach. It's like,
apparently
how can you determine? That's the hard part is if you're ranking every player in the history from 0 to 100, and if I say Federer, Djokovic, Nadal are 98, 99, 97, well, then where does that put, Pui? He's 60, 58.
Right.
That's the problem.
Well, here's the thing. So here's the comparison, and I was thinking about it watching golf. So some caddy or somebody who maybe has seen both play, like, on the course, Jack Nicklaus and Tiger, they were talking about, Jack Nicklaus is a better driver, and I don't mean cars, I mean driving off
more
the tee.
accurate, I'm sure.
But Tiger had distance, plus he's the best putter ever.
Right.
Whatever. I don't know golf. I don't care. I'm just taking their word for it. So here's the thing about golf. 2 things. You have one constant already, and that's the course. So if you play Torrey Pines, which they're playing right now in California, that course essentially is the same.
Right.
Through all time. Now, you'll get weird years where it's really windy or really whatever. So obviously that changes it. But on average, the holes are essentially set up the same length, blah, blah, blah. So you have that constant. So the next thing is you have to compare players in relation to the people that they're playing with. Now, in golf, you aren't necessarily playing head-to-head. However, you can compare your scores. So let's say Tiger, for 10 years in a row, let's just say right in the middle, I can't remember how long he was, whatever.
Right.
But let's just say he was, dominant for 10 years or competing for 10 years. So throughout that 10 years, let's say every course he played, his stroke average was 10 strokes better than everyone else he played against.
Right.
Cool. Now you go back to Nicklaus. Same tour, same courses.
Right.
You look at that now, the clubs, everything's all different now. Everything's different, but it doesn't matter.
Right.
I'm not comparing Tiger's scores to his scores. I'm comparing Tiger's dominance, his level above the group he's with, to Jack Nicklaus. Now let's say, so Tiger's 10 strokes average over a season for 10 seasons. Now you go to Nicklaus, let's say he was 5 strokes on average ahead of his contemporaries on the same courses, same for 10 years.
Right.
Tiger's a better player. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
He's a better player because you have the constant of the courses.
Right.
Now, in this scenario, comparing it to men's tennis, the course we don't have.
Right.
The course is the head-to-head type field because we have tennis. It's not.
Yeah.
So the comparison to the body, so 0 through 100, what's the strength of 0-100 for this year total?
Right.
Like if you said there was some formula you could do to average their level in you can't.
Right.
Because the course is the constant. So we can look at Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic and say, how much better are they than their opponents? More than 10 strokes.
Right. Well, I would like to know
it's like Tiger playing me. And then you go back to Sampras's era. How much better was he than his opponents?
Right.
It was a lot closer. So now you're saying, okay, well, Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer are all better than Sampras.
Right.
The difference is they're not playing the same courses.
Yeah.
So it's like Sampras was playing Torrey Pines and Federer. Well, this is not. Let me rephrase that. This is my argument. But the argument is, what course are they playing? So my argument is Sampras was playing Torrey Pines.
Right.
I don't know if that's a hard course. Give me a break, okay? Let's just assume
a PGA course.
Let's just say it's a really hard course. All right. I don't know. So Pete Sampras was playing the equivalent of Torrey Pines back in his day.
Right.
So he's, and everybody else, was playing a municipal course.
Yeah.
Whatever. So the argument is, so there is no argument that the pack is way further back now with Fadal and Djokovic. I need a 3-person name for that. Fadalovic. So Fadalovic, I like it. So Fadalovic is way ahead of the pack.
Yeah.
Sampras was not.
Right.
So now you can stop there, or you can go a bit further since we don't have any constants here, and we have to look at the body of the group that they're behind or they're ahead of. And I think the group now is worse than the group then relative to each other.
Right.
So one measure that we can use, that I use, I don't know if we can use it or not. I use it because we don't have a lot of options. And the other problem with this tool or this one aspect of evidence is the fact that we won't be able to compare for another 10 years,
right?
15 years,
yeah.
20 years, and that is Hall of Fame. We just got another inductee. Evgeny Kafelnikov just got in.
Yeah.
And so if you look back at the 90s when Pete Sampras was in his prime, and you look at now, you fast forward to 2019 and look at the Hall of Famers from that era, of course, Pete Sampras is there, obviously.
Right.
Agassi, so the elite of the elite are in there.
Yeah.
But then look how many other players are in that thing. It's Jonas Bjorkman. I mean, Kafelnikov.
We said there's going to be
Safin.
none.
And now we're looking in here. We're going to have the big three.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, that's two others besides Sampras. So Sampras had two others.
Yeah.
All right, so cool. So who's the fourth best player in Sampras's era?
Oh, well, Rafter
or even better. I mean, you're talking about Sampras at 1.
Right.
Agassi was in and out. I don't know that he's 2 necessarily, but he's one of the ones. You've got Todd Martin's a Hall of Fame.
Right.
I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame. Edberg. Lendl at the front end. I mean, Yvonne Lendl.
Courier.
He made it to 8 straight U.S. Open finals.
Courier.
Yeah,
I mean, McEnroe, that was the end of him. But
tail into Connors.
But yeah, there's going to be Chang, I'm sure, got in too.
Chang. I mean, it's just, so you tell me now. So you take out the big three, and who do you have next is going to be a Hall of Famer? I think the next Hall of Famer is Andy Murray.
Right, you got Murray and Wawrinka.
And part of it, I think, is the Olympics and the fact that he won Wimbledon. You know what I mean? I think that's a huge part of it. So then you've got, Cilic and Wawrinka, and I even say maybe Delpo. And the only
Cilic is borderline and Delpo's borderline.
See, I think Cilic is borderline, and I think the only reason you put Delpo in is because of what he should have been doing, but he got hurt.
Right.
I don't,
they're going to put him in because they have nobody else.
Well, I hope not.
Right.
I hope not, because now you're going to be looking back there and saying, well, there are a lot of guys that maybe had one. How come they're not in the Hall of Fame, but these guys are? So my point is this: and here's the other thing that I will admit that nobody in this argument will admit, and that's the other side. Guess what? Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic might be 1, 2, 3.
Right.
Sampras 4.
Yeah.
In a list. I will concede that's a possibility. But what I won't concede is that that's just a lock.
Right.
And I'm an idiot for even thinking it's not the case when you look at sort of the scenario I just put out.
Well, and what do you relate this at all to the argument that Nadal, just for probably the 6th or 8th time, made it to the final of a slam without losing a set?
How can that not be?
That's got to be a deterrent.
You are so myopic if you look at that and say, well, that's just going to be how much better he is.
Right.
Because he's so great, the greatest ever that ever lived. Really?
Yeah.
It can't possibly be the 6 players he played until the finals are the worst players in this era?
Well, and the reason
Maybe?
we know he's not unstoppable is because he's lost 50 times to Djokovic and Federer between the two. So, I mean, he can't be that much better than everybody else has ever played when he's, losing to those guys constantly.
I don't want it to be a lock that Sampras has won and they're somewhere below that. I don't care. I want the argument to be had, and I want the argument to be had legitimately, and the argument can't start with, well, he has 20.
Right.
Because the bottom line, like I've always said, your argument's over as soon as Djokovic hits 20.
Right.
And he will hit 20.
Oh, yeah.
He might hit 20 by the end of 2020.
I think so, too. I think he's going to be very close by the end of 2020.
Well, first of all, I mean, he's at 15. He just got 15.
Right.
So if he wins the Grand Slam, like my poll, like how I voted on my own poll, that the Djokovic Slam happens this year, then he's sitting at 18.
Right.
He could sneeze and win another Australian.
Well, if he wins the French, he's certainly going to be the heavy favorite at the U.S. and the Australian.
Yeah.
So that's 18.
And the grass obviously is different, but obviously he's won them all.
Yeah, and that's 18. Well, and then he's going to if he wins the French, that'll be him winning them all twice, which is something that neither of the other two guys can say. So then he's got a winning record of both guys. He's got 2 of every slam, and he's still got who knows how much longer to play. He does the only thing he doesn't have that people always talk about is the weeks at number 1. That seems to be the big weeks / years at number 1.
Right.
Seems to be the big deal. But
which I'm not going to sit here and say, I don't care. That doesn't matter, because it's part of it, and total matches is part of it. But Jimmy Connors has that.
But how many slams would Sampras have if he basically started the tournament every slam in the semis? That's literally what we're at right now.
Right.
Djokovic and all start the tournament in the semis.
Yeah.
We're not challenged.
And there was another great point. How many U.S. Opens would he have won if he could just skip the entire clay court season, which he sucked at anyway?
Right. But he still practiced for it and played it for 3 months.
He played 3 more years, and he cared about year-end number 1,
right? And
made that a target, which I don't think these guys care about.
Which he would have had to for that. He had to play all year.
He had to play all year, and he had to play to win it. These guys, they can take a vacation,
right,
and still be number 1. It's ridiculous.
I mean, to me, the biggest
not playing.
One of the biggest.
You can't say you are the best in the world and didn't touch a racket and didn't move down.
Yeah,
you got to be kidding me.
To me, the biggest thing about
I hate everybody out there
is that how many players have taken this much time off and come back. Like Nadal just took 4 months off and came back and made the final.
People are retiring. Careers are over.
Federer took 6 months off.
It's ridiculous.
And he made the final. He won the Australian. Like, that is not a reflection of how great you are.
It can't possibly be.
No.
It can't possibly be.
So Nadal, what do you think he is right now, percentage out of 100?
I would have 85 at the upper.
That's
upper
what
end.
I was thinking. 80, 85.
Upper end.
So that means everybody he played is 60 to 70% of his skill level.
Right.
And so that again, that's because he's so amazing. Is always the argument.
So let me ask you this: is Federer? Do you think his game is designed for clay?
No, he likes short points. So not.
He was in
all.
4 French Open finals in a row, lost the first 3, won 1, played Robin Soderling, the powerhouse Swede. So then he skipped a year in which Robin Soderling made it back to the finals against Nadal, and then he was in another final, which he lost to Nadal in 2011. Yeah. This is not the weakest era. You're tripping.
Well, yeah, I can't. Well, I told you some of the finals Nadal people he's played in the finals of Frenches.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know. I mean, I think we will look back at this era as three amazing players and nobody else. And again, they could easily be proven wrong when those three guys retire and Chilich wins 3 slams and Nishikori wins 3 slams. If that will easily disprove us, but that's not going to happen. It's going to be Tsitsipas.
If Tiafoe wins a Grand Slam, I was right.
Right, or
jacked up forehand.
Tsitsipas or Zverev.
Exactly.
I mean, any of those guys.
If Zverev wins 1 slam, I was wrong.
That's how confident you are.
If he hits a volley winner, I was wrong.
Was that not? Have you ever seen a worse collapse? Did you watch him play Raonic?
Yes, I've been watching him play for his whole career.
He won 2 games against Raonic in 2 sets. How is
awful.
that? Raonic is a server, a big server. He doesn't have a return game. And he won 2 games.
Although I will say he did look better off the ground.
Well, and he got several lucky shots off the net that all went against Zverev. But still, you're 3 in the world.
I mean, Zverev, that's...
So Zverev's your 3, you're 4 in the world, and you got Djokovic, Federer, Nadal. And you're telling me that... So Zverev is 20% below those guys, at least in terms of slams.
Let me tell you something. I hate the quote-unquote eyeball test, okay? However, you cannot tell me that if your number 4 player in the world is Zverev,
right?
And have you seen him play? Are you kidding me? His unforced error ratio, his complete absence of a net game, complete absence. I would drop shot him all day and just lob him. I would just dink him volleys. Here, feed
it to him.
He's laughing. Corey's laughing because I'm motioning how easy I would hit it to him, and he would shank it out of the stadium.
Well, that's another way to measure this is just list the players that were ranked 4 to 6 for the last 5 years, 10 years, and Ferrer. Now, Ferrer's not a bad player, but he's number 4 in the world caliber. And
it's unbelievable.
Zverev, Raonic, these guys, they can't win. Like you said, they can't win when the big 3 aren't in the tournaments. So they're obviously not, great players.
It drives me insane.
Yeah, it's. I mean, Sampras, you would have to have taken the 10 next best players out of the field for him to win easily. And even then,
here's a random year. June 1993. Sampras, Courier, Stefan Edberg, Boris effing Becker is your number 4.
Right.
Boris Becker!
And now
he's an idiot now. I get it.
Now we've got Zverev.
He's an idiot. Boris Becker is a moron right now. Am I right? But let me tell you something.
This cat can ball, man.
All right? 4 in the world. Number 5. This is right after clay court season, to be fair. Sergi Bruguera. Okay. Still, though.
Right.
Number 6, Goran. Yeah. Number 7, Ivan Stinking Lendl. And I don't mean he stinks. I'm just trying not to say bad words. Michael Stich. Medvedev, not Daniel, his cousin Andre. Peter Korda, Michael Chang at 11. Krajicek, Agassi at 13. Shut your
So I was going to say.
Number 15, Tomas Muster.
Yeah, so you take out the top 10, Sampras would still struggle to win that tournament with those guys.
Yeah, he's playing Michael Chang as the 2 seed.
If you take in the top 10 now, Federer's not losing a set.
It's ridiculous.
Djokovic isn't losing a set. I mean, he played Pui, who's 20 in the world, and lost.
Pui. Your French is standard.
Lost 5 or 6 games. Oh, I call him that because that's his game. But he lost 5 or 6 games.
There you go. 1996, June. I don't know why I keep picking June. It's random. Pete Sampras, Tomas Muster, Andre Agassi after he got his life together, Michael Chang, Boris Becker, Goran Ivanisevic. Number 7, Yevgeny Kafelnikov, Jim Courier. How about that? I forgot about Thomas Enquist.
Yeah.
Marcelo Rios. Cuckoo. Wayne Ferreira.
Consistent, long time.
Richard Krajicek. Mark Rosé. Todd Martin at 18. Cedric Peeling. Carlos Moya.
Right.
Oh, man.
And that's when it started to go downhill,
it did.
To be honest, in the late 90s.
Yeah. So basically now we have a great bunch of players that are outside the top 30. The problem is they're sitting at 3 through 10.
Right.
Back then we had a great top 20, and then it started,
Right. But so we don't. But you and I wouldn't have a problem if players rolling through the first 2 matches. That if Federer, Djokovic, and all rolls through the first 2, that doesn't bother us.
Reasonable.
When you're talking about 3 versus 17 and 2 versus 12, those should be tough battle matches you have to grind out.
Right.
And we're not getting that. And it's a long time till we're going to get that.
Pete Sampras is retired. And this is pre-Federer. Guga at 1, Safin at 2, Agassi, Juan Carlos Ferrero, the Mosquito.
Yeah.
Leighton Hewitt.
Still way better.
Yevgeny Kafelnikov, Sebastian Grosjean, Tim Henman, Alex Correia, Pat Rafter, Arnaud Clement. Sampras is at 12.
Yeah, so those are a lot of surface specialists.
So here you go. So that was July 2001, and look where Federer is right here. He's 15.
Yeah.
14. He's 14 at 19 years old.
So that was when you basically saw the opening.
He was 14 at 9 years old. You know what Pete Sampras was doing at 19?
Winning a slam.
He was 2 years in. He won his first at 19. He won the U.S. Open.
But that's basically where you see that Federer had that opening of, like, everybody was gone. So the only one he had to beat was Hewitt. The only one he had to knock off was Hewitt. Hewitt and Roddick.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Agassi was still there, but he was pretty much done by then.
Shen Shalkin. Remember him?
Yes.
So, yeah, Roddick was at 34, and he was 18 years old.
Yeah.
So...
younger than Federer, retired for 5 years.
Yeah. but that's just because Federer's the greatest ever.
That is a funny line from Tsitsipas, though, about, how does Federer beat this guy? But he doesn't, for one thing. Not very often.
By the way, I was going to say I need to send one of these guys a shirt that says #Weakest Era and see if one of these next gens will wear it. But I don't have a shirt for Tsitsipas, but I do have a bag. A drawstring bag for a lucky winner. You thought I forgot, didn't you? I kind of did. So what I did was, so if you're listening, listen up. So what I did was, and this might be xenophobic, which means, like you're afraid of foreign people, I guess. I'm not.
Yeah, you're like Americentric. Well, not just for it could be any country, but where we're from.
No. I am Corey-phobic. I don't like Corey one bit. But, so what I did was the first one I got, or the first one I randomly selected or whatever you call it, was somebody from far away. So I feel guilty by not letting them,
Yeah.
Like I still want to.
You're adding a mileage restriction?
No. I'm keeping it. But I'm also I also picked an American again. So I didn't want to, I picked that random person first. And I was like, oh, crap. They're from Australia or somewhere. And I was like, well, let me pick another one and try to get an American. And so that's what I did. But even though nobody would have ever known, ever.
Right.
I still wanted to, I cannot find them. Oh, the worst.
Technology.
No, just me.
But
so I did pick somebody that was out of the country, and I felt guilty. Although they'd never know.
We're big everywhere.
That's true. No, yeah, but I know. But come on, we're all about American tennis here.
Right.
And so I wanted to go ahead and pick somebody else. But like I said, I felt guilty. So I wanted to go ahead and give somebody, whatever. So where are my tweets at? This is ridiculous. There's only like 8 buttons on this thing. This is ridiculous.
But so we went into the semis super optimistic. Where do you go the rest of the year? Like, what's your overarching thought for the rest of the year? Do we have more? We deal with this more? We have to endure this for how many more slams?
You tell me, because
you're multitasking.
This is ridiculous. I can't.
Well, I know. I mean, we know we're going to have it for the French. There's no way anybody's breaking out to win the French. Team would be the only person that has a chance.
And it's not going to happen. No chance.
And with Federer's playing, there's even less of a chance for anybody breaking out. And then Wimbledon, nobody's breaking out in that. I mean, nobody knew anyway. So I say we got at least to the U.S. Open. And Djokovic just owned the Australian for so long. I'm thinking we're U.S. Open 2020 before we're seeing anybody, potentially get into the final that's not one of the big three. Barring an injury.
So, worst thing ever to ruin my entire theory here is if Djokovic gets hurt. Because I think Federer and Nadal are on the way down physically.
Right.
And I fear that it's going to happen quick.
But I still think if that happened, the guys that would step up would be Kachanov, Tsitsipas.
The next gen.
It would be Tiafoe even. Be those guys more than the Cilic and, Berdych and Raonic, those guys. Other names that don't end in itch.
Agreed. All right. Sorry, I'm an idiot. It wasn't Australia. I get my countries mixed up. They're from Ireland.
Oh, nice.
So if you are at Colin a fan 0478 on Twitter, email me something. I don't know how to tell it's you.
I can't think of that Irish player that played the Challenger that year.
Or tweet at me or something. I don't know how this works. You know what? I'm going to follow them. And then I think they can secret message me.
Right.
So if you're listening from Ireland, by the way, I'm Irish too.
Who was the Irish player? James Murray? No.
I don't know.
There was an Irish player around for a while.
Jamie Murray is.
I know that's not who it was.
Scotland. So that was the foreigner.
He can put that in his message.
But so I picked him or her. Colin a fan. I don't know if it's a dude. I don't know what it is. But in any event, no matter what it is. So I picked that person. So from Ireland. So secret message me. I don't know how this works. But do it on Twitter so I know it's you.
Slide in his DMs.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either, but it's what people say now.
Yeah. So do that, and then
I don't want to slide in anybody.
I'll figure out how for like a $6 bag to spend $78 on shipping to get it to you. I'm gonna have to
be sent back.
I'm gonna have to walk to the other person that won. Now, so the other person that won is at Artina_slice. So Sharon.
Oh,
and it just says USA, so I guess she just lives in a van and travels around the USA.
She's like a Martina fan, but Martina was taken. So
Artina, nice.
There you go.
That could be it.
Navratilova.
So the same thing, Artina Slice. I'm gonna follow you, and you do whatever things I don't whatever people do on stuff. So yes, whatever that means, do that. And then your address. Now, if you want me to have your address, whatever, that's fine. I wouldn't. I'd give me the neighbor's address and just go steal their package. No, I don't condone that. So you have to contact me because I don't know how anything works. So I do know how the mail works. So I will mail it to you. And if you're in Ireland, I don't know. I'll put it on a Ryanair. That's their Southwest, I think. Ryanair in Ireland. Nice. All right. What do you think? You think we covered the Aussie Open pretty well?
We did. I think we.
Did you have a corner? I hope not. I hope not.
No, I think that was just.
All right. You can have. No, I'm kidding. Please, by all means.
No, I didn't. To me, it's more about looking forward, and we want to be optimistic, but it's hard when we have another Djokovic-Nadal final.
We are about the women. It's going to be great.
Let me ask you this: would you have felt any better if that match was 5.5 hours like the last time they played there, or would that have been worse?
It's a good question.
Because it's almost more depressing now knowing Djokovic is that far ahead of everyone.
Maybe. But see, at least, okay, so it's not that Djokovic is that far ahead because I think it's just Nadal's just still not 100%.
Yeah.
But yes, that makes it more depressing because he still rolled over everyone.
I still don't understand. Do you think it's the three? How much impact does a 3 out of 5 have on the fact that they just dominate the slams? Because Djokovic lost 2 matches at the end of the year. So how does he go through a slam and just dominate? Is it just a mentality thing?
Yeah,
is it preparation?
I'm going to tell you right now, the rest of the players can't maintain that level of concentration looking at a daunting task, looking up the mountain of 5 sets.
Yeah.
Even if they don't play 5 sets against them, they know they're going to have to if they want to beat them.
Because I was talking about for Zverev, the 5-set thing, you can't even say it was because 3 out of 5 sets. He lost 1 and 1 the first 2 sets to Raonic.
That's true.
So, I mean, that wouldn't have mattered.
Right.
Unless it's just a psychological barrier of, we got to play 3 out of 5 sets.
I do think that's exactly what it is, honestly. I think they look at that task and say, wow, I'm way further away from the goal.
Right. Like, I can beat Nadal a set and then get lucky in a second set or third set, but I can't beat him in 3 sets.
I don't think so. But, yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just – and I don't understand how a 30, 31, and 33-year-olds have an edge on 22 and 24-year-olds in a 3 out of 5 set format either.
Well, you do. You were just trying to think of alternate reasons
right.
That it could be possible. Listen, again, I'm not saying it's a lock. I just want the argument, the honest argument to be had.
Yeah.
That this might be the weakest era in the history of men's tennis.
Yeah, let's hope that's what I will look forward to the rest of the year is what inroads can those next gen make. Because Tsitsipas for a semi, he can't be disappointed with that. Obviously, you're disappointed with the way you lost in the semis. Same with Pui. But
well, here's the other thing on this whole argument, all right? It's not like these guys are just out here hitting winners against each other. They also look like crap against each other.
Right.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm done with this argument. I can't take it anymore. I just can't take it. So, anywho, all right, well, let's wrap this thing up. I've had enough of the Australian Open. I'm ready to move on.
Ready to go to sleep.
Ready to move on to France.
A normal hour for once.
Actually, I'm not ready to move on to France because I want to discount every other tournament. Although I do hate the hard court season in the middle of the season, but that's a whole another argument that we've had, gone over multiple times. So, all right, that it?
That's it.
Fantastic. What a week, 2 weeks, a fortnight. Now we can get back on regular time. Just wake up early and watch matches.
That's right.
Not overnight. Maybe next year. Maybe next Australian Open, the old budget for the Tennis Revolution.
Broadcast from there.
I got news for you. I don't even want to fly there. I would take a boat before I flew. 20 hours in a plane.
I thought about that
next
just
to
recently.
You? Are you kidding me? You know what we could do? We could broadcast. We could record the entire 20 hours. We could just do a 20-hour podcast.
Yeah, that would just satisfy so many fans.
I would move to a desert island with no electricity after that. All right, so that's all we got. Remember those winners. I already forgot who you were. I know you. I've got you right here, but I just followed you, so DM me or whatever it's called.
You got to claim your prize.
I was looking at to see if they contacted me yet, but I'm like, oh, dum-dum. They don't have this recording yet. We're not. You know what?
Call in.
Call in. I'll tell you. Well, no. I'll tell you why. Is because I don't like recording this thing when we record it.
Right.
I'd rather
do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Oh,
once we get on ESPN Radio, it'll be live.
Oh, Sirius XM I'd prefer because we can say bad words.
That's true.
Although I've curbed that quite a bit. All right. Well, until next time, thanks for